Opening day is here. We've finally made it. On today's show, we're going to make some picks and do our annual debutant draft with Grant Schiller. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm PrizePicks, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering his team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at PrizePicks. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. You can follow my guest at OG Shill. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help with the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Joining me today is the prospect prognosticator, the king of content, the knower of ball, Grant Schiller, writer at Baseball Prospectus, longtime friend of the show. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing wonderful. We got baseball. I guess it'll be today when this drops. So I'm very excited to go work a morning at the office. While very much looking forward to noon hitting and throwing on that baseball shirt and running out to the ballpark.
Oh, it is a good day. Baseball is back in earnest. No games in Tokyo, games in America, games at Globe Life Field that will count for realsies. And hopefully the Rangers will be winning the first of, I don't know, how many games this year. For me, let's start talking about these expectations coming off of a rough 2024, 2023. What a magical year. Now it's follow the Bochy pattern of win World Series, miss playoffs, win World Series. Question mark. What are your expectations like for this regular season? Because for me, I think the bar minimum is 87 wins. That for what's acceptable. Maybe not what's going to happen, but if it's fewer, than 87 wins, I'm gonna be mad online and mad in real life.
Um, you know, I don't know that I'd put a win total on it because I think the division's going to be weaker this year. As long as they make the playoffs, it's a successful regular season. They can be the 94 Rangers who are winning the division at 10 games under 500 and, getting the dance, and it's a success. Obviously, the strike ended that before it could become a reality. But I think you're going to look at the Mariners who struggle with pitching injuries and the Astros take another step back. So I think you might be able to win the division with 85, but you got to make the playoffs. And the Rangers have been very clear about what the expectations are, and it's to compete for championships. And if you're not one of the best 6 teams in your league, you're not particularly close. So the expectations are to be a playoff team for me, and it's that simple. Ideally, and really, I think the team should be expecting to win the division. And I know that was a sore spot for them in 23 that they didn't address in 24, and they're looking to do this year.
Yeah, I think the division might be worse, but I don't know. I feel like eventually, surely the Mariners can't be this offensively inept for this long. I mean, they spent at least a modicum of money. They gave Cal Raleigh, a catcher, $100 million, which is a bold move. I think he's one of the better catchers in baseball. I mean, defensively, he's great and he hits home runs. Offensively, and that's about the modicum of his skill set. But a great defensive catcher who does one thing well offensively is nice. But I guess you're right. I just think 87 wins for me is about the bare minimum. I know that the Astros are, they have Cam Smith and everyone's just raving about this kid, and maybe he's great. I don't think he's ever going to be the player that Kyle Tucker is at his peak. He's just, whether they get him for 6 years or whatever, he's just not. And if they do trot him out there in right field every day, they're going to have horrendous outfield defense. I don't care if they've got, peak Peter Borges in center field. That with Altuve in left, I don't care how tiny the left field is, literally Jose Altuve's size. If they got him in left and a guy who has barely ever played right field and right, they're going to lose some outs there.
I'm with you. On the one hand, I'm frustrated that 1 year of Kyle Tucker got the Astros as much as it did. Paredes is a great fit for that park. He's very controllable. I think he's got, 4 years left. And Smith, by all accounts, is a very strong prospect. I do I do agree with you. I don't know that he's going to be a real positive contributor this year because the defense has a chance to be such a negative. Um, I worry more about him in future years, and maybe they move Paredes to second or first and open up third base for Smith, where he probably won't be a great defender either. But I do think it was a good trade for the Astros that hurts them this year, but helps them longer term.
Yeah, and they also just have that penchant for spending a bunch on first base, where the Rangers and most other teams, unless you're getting a Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson, and you're spending on first base is not really the priority. The upgrade there doesn't seem to be all that much. I mean, look at what the Rangers gave up to go get Jake Berger, who's probably going to be a top 10 first baseman in the league. Maybe not a top 5, but still, maybe a 2.5 win player. And at first base, those guys seem to be replaceable. And yet the Astros are still paying Jose Abreu, I think, $20 million this year. And then on top of whatever they're paying Christian Walker, who I think is going to be a good player for them, but he's already dealing with injuries. So if I were an Astros fan, I would definitely be fearing the end. But I'm always hoping that they have the end. The one thing about these expectations, I think that what's going to determine this year, I'm of two minds, and I want to know what your thought is. I want to see which one of these you think is the bigger key to winning this year. If the underperforming hitters from 2024 bounce back that were good in 2023, or if the Vandy boys are really ready to stick in the rotation. Which do you think of those is going to be more important to the Rangers winning this year?
Bats. I think that's the team's identity, right? The Vandy boys are going to be extremely important, especially as you have pitching depth issues already. Two of the other three starters in the rotation and Malley and DeGrom are going to be on innings limits. Evaldi tends to make 20 to 27 starts, not 32 starts. Obviously, Bradford and Gray are already hurt. Vandy boys are going to be extremely important. But the team's identity is the offense and having a deep lineup of just sluggers and bashers and boppers. And if Garcia isn't contributing to that, if Young isn't able to stay healthy and kind of use health to take the next step, if I don't even know if I'd throw Hyman there because I think you got a good contingency plan in Higashioka. If Berger isn't what you expect, if Smith isn't able to repeat the year or come close to approximating the year, if Duran doesn't come back to what he was, if Simeon doesn't take the step back, if Leody is a 650 OPS guy now, that tanks your season, right? Because you don't have a hat to hang on if you don't have that deep, strong lineup. Now, the likelihood that every one of them is going to bounce back is low. Likelihood that every one of them is not going to work out or bounce back is also low.
Well, Lowe's actually in Washington now.
Sorry, the likelihood is Garcia. But if you get, what was that, 6 question marks? If you get 4 positive answers there, you're probably going to win the division, regardless of whether Leiter and Rocker are able to stick.
I think for me, just for good podcast content's sake, I'm gonna disagree with you and say that you're big dumb boy. No, I think that the way that they upgraded this offense, because the contingencies, the guys bouncing back, I was more talking about the guys who were here last year, because Berger's a new addition. I think one of the things, the mistakes that they made last year was not supplementing that offense. I think they just thought, oh, here's this rookie who's played all of 30 games in the minor leagues, who looks fantastic, looks ready, but thinking that was going to replace what Mitch Garver did the year before, and that a full season of Evan Carter was going to be, a 2 to 3 WAR player, which is a big ask, despite how highly everyone thought of him as a prospect. Even before the back issues, I mean, replicating anywhere near what he did down the stretch was going to be tough. But I think that adding a guy like Jock Peterson, who is a known quantity, he's going to be good. He has been good. He has always been good. The one thing he doesn't do is hit lefties or play defense, and he's not going to be really asked to do those. So I think that adding a bat like that, adding in Higashioka, trading out Nathaniel Lowe's, all the things that he did well offensively for the one thing that he didn't in Berger, and doing it while upgrading the bullpen and giving up minimal prospect capital. I think that that's going to make this offense, fall back enough to where, like you said, the Raiders are going to need a lot from Jack, and I think they're going to need a lot from Kumar this year. I think those guys are going to be able to give them, quality innings. I don't think either of them are going to go out there and blow guys away for every single start, but I think they're going to be good enough. They're going to be ready enough to step up, and the Rangers unfortunately put themselves in a position where they really, really need them to. Coming up, we're going to talk about our picks. How many wins are the Rangers going to have? Where are they going to finish in the postseason? Are they going to make the postseason? And who else is going to join them there in October? Talk about all that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, PrizePicks keeps every single game exciting. Setting a new lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. The show is also brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the Tros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. A shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back talking about actual baseball that matters. The first of maybe 90 wins, maybe a billion wins. Who knows how many wins we'll see this season, but we do know that baseball is finally back today. We are making predictions with Grant Schiller, the man who knows ball. Grant, I will go first and make my claim for how many games this Rangers team will do. I have been caught up in the spring training optimism, the preseason optimism. Everything is going my team's way. I get sucked into it every year. Every year I think, no, this year I'm going to be objective. This year I'm going to be rational. I'm going to make decisions based on logic and reason. And why should I start doing that now? Honestly, why bother? I'm picking the Rangers to win 92 games, to win the AL West by, I'd say, at least 4 games. And in the postseason, I have the Rangers beating not the Dodgers, but the Braves in the World Series. Yeah, I don't think the Dodgers are even going to make it to the World Series. That's right. Don't pick the Dodgers in your preseason World Series picks. It's boring. It's chalk. It's lame. Come on, people. Have a personality. Think for yourself. Don't let the Dodgers pay you off on their payroll, because then they're going to defer your payments and you're not actually going to get paid all that much money. Now, what is your prediction for the Rangers record? Will they make the postseason? And if so, how far will they go?
Yeah, so I normally kind of am the opposite of you in terms of preseason. Not necessarily drinking the Kool-Aid, but coming back to the middle, wherever that is. It's like 2020 Rangers. They're even better than people think, Possible playoff team in a 60-game season. That didn't happen. This year we come in and Pacoda has the Rangers at, 90 wins or 89 wins. You see a whole lot of people picking them to be the best team in the AL. I do think this team wins the division. I don't think they win 90 games. I don't think they have the best record in the American League in the regular season. I think they're at the very bottom of what you consider your expectations, which is 87 wins, which I think is enough to win this division by a couple of games. I also think that given the AL Central, it's probably enough to get a first-round bye. So I have them at 87 and 75 in the regular season. but I have them getting the 96 wins total as they lose in 6 games to the Atlanta Braves in the World Series.
Okay. Okay. I see you. I see you. That would be I think that'd be acceptable. Maybe. I don't know. My girlfriend's from Atlanta and she's a big Braves fan. So I don't know if I'd be able to live that down with her and her whole family of Braves fans. So I think I would need a little bit of bragging rights to go in there. But I respect your optimism. Honestly, I think I just feel bad ever picking against the Astros, even though I'm a certified hater and will do it every single time. I'm just tired of looking wrong and looking like I'm doing it just because I'm a hater. This time I'm doing it because I'm informed in the facts and I am also a hater. It could be multiple things, okay? It could be things could be two things, as my friend Brent Bielefeld is fond of saying all the time. Now, next picks, team MVP. I have Wyatt Langford as the Rangers MVP this season. Who are you going with? I have a feeling.
I have Wyatt Langford, and I also have him finishing top 3 in the American League MVP.
Ooh, spicy. I like it. Finishing top 3. So third or first?
Third. It's hard to even get up that high with left field defense, but I think he's just gonna mash.
He's gonna mash, and he's gonna. I feel like eventually he's gonna force the conversation sooner as opposed to later of like, okay, well, why are we wasting his defense out there in left field? Because this guy is going to be, I think, a superb defender in left field, and then I think an adequate to above average defender in center, and eventually a really darn good one out there in center. All right, home run leader. I have Adolis Garcia with 51 home runs. He wants to hit 50. He's going to hit 51. Does that include the postseason or not? I'm leaving myself open to interpretation, but I'm saying 51.
If he hit 51, maybe this team doesn't win 90 games.
I told you, I drank a lot of Kool-Aid. Okay, maybe someone needs to pump my stomach.
I'll take Jake Berger. I don't know, 39 homers and about a 306 OBP, but plenty of homers. I'll take Jake Berger with 39 homers as somebody who has a track record of staying healthy and even if there's not a whole lot of value elsewhere in his game, hitting plenty of homers.
Yeah, if he ups that walk rate by just like 2-3%, I think he's gonna be just an absolute monster in this. And even if he doesn't, even if he just does what he's done the last couple of years, like I'm so in on the Jake Berger train. Next prediction. Who is the Rangers closer in September? I said September just in case neither of us picked the postseason, but down the stretch, games that matter. I'm saying Luke Jackson. I think he's going to start the year as the Rangers closer. And I think he's going to lose the job a little bit, and I think he's going to go back to it. I feel like this is going to be a good year for Lou Jax. The redemption arc, I feel it in my bones.
That's a good one. So the obvious ones at the start of the year, the back of the bullpen is what Garcia, Martin, Jackson. It seems like.
Mm.
I don't know the ones who are bouncing around my head. It's a lot of young guys. Teodo, I think, has a chance to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Winston Santos is going to play a big part of this bullpen in September, but I don't think he's going to be in the closer role at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he could have. I think he has a chance to be. I think those two could be in your 7th, 8th, and 9th innings come October. I think that's very realistic. I also think your 7th, 8th, 9th inning options in October could be Leiter and Rocker if the rest of the rotation stays healthy. I think those 4 could be extremely dynamic relief options in the playoffs, which is part of why I have them going deep in the playoffs. But I'm gonna go off the radar here. Something just fun, very unlikely. I'll say David Robertson is your closer.
You think they bring him out? They say one last ride, buddy. Go on one last. Honestly, I love you going off the board. That's an incredible pick. Like that is honestly way better than my pick, but I love it. Bring that old man back into the rotation. Have him throwing those cutters. I'm all in on that. All right, the last one of these picks. Actually, no, we have playoff picks. Jacob deGrom starts. How many starts is he going to make? I've been saying over 25, and I'm sticking with that at 26.
I think that would be great. I know. So Chris Young the other day said 20 to 25 is the target. I'll say that he stays healthy, but they limit him to just in that number, and he throws 24 regular season starts. Plus, plus every postseason start that he's scheduled for.
Well, I'm including postseason in my 26, so
Okay,
maybe
I'm going above you.
maybe he just makes 3 postseason. Maybe I would say 23, and he makes 3 postseason starts because that's all the Rangers need because they win every single one of his postseason starts. Maybe that's how that goes.
I'll go 24 plus 4. So you are officially billed as a DeGrom hater. Let the record show.
Oof, that's tough. That's big tough. But I also have him throwing a perfect game in Game 1 of the World Series. So
I
does
have him
that?
throwing a perfect game in Game 1 and Game 2 of the World Series.
His arm would fall off. That's you hating, not hating on DeGrom, just hating. Like, yeah, no, give it all you got. Throw one, sit 103. Okay, man, come on, just go out there and throw another 200 pitches in this game. Throw the CG Shuddy, the opposite of a Maddox. Oh goodness! And for playoff picture, I have the Boston Red Sox winning the AL East. I have the Tigers winning the Central in a lackluster showing. I don't believe that Kansas City has enough offense. I don't think that the Guardians have enough offense or enough pitching. And their bullpen's incredible last year. It's just they traded away Josh Naylor, and the rest of their offense just isn't good enough. It's just not. I have the Rangers winning the West and the wild card teams in the AL, the Gardos, the Orioles, and the Yankees. Actually, I think let's put the Orioles as the first wild card, and then I have them losing in that wild card series, extending that losing streak in the postseason. In the NL, I have the Phillies in the East, Brewers in the Central. Why overthink it at this point? Dodgers will win the NL West. Will they lose in the first round or the second? Well, they'll get that bye, and I think they might win 100 games, but maybe not. Honestly, Mookie Betts keeps throwing up, and Freddie Freeman's ankle still acts like an old man's ankle. Then honestly, who knows? But the wild card teams, I have the D-backs to the first wild card, Braves, and then Mets. So the Braves taking on the Phillies and upending what happened in 2023. I think that would be funny and karmic, and I'd just like to see it.
I like it. I think those are good picks. I don't know if I agree with you in the NL West entirely, but those are good picks.
The NL West, do you have somebody besides the Dodgers winning the NL West?
No.
Oh, I was like, oh.
All right, I'll say AL West. Talk about Rangers, obviously, already discussed. AL Central, I've got Minnesota bouncing back and doing more of what they were kind of expected to last year. I also just don't believe in any of Cleveland, Kansas City, and Detroit.
That's fair.
AL East, AL East, I've got Baltimore winning the regular season on the back of their offense and getting just enough pitching to win the division. And then wild cards, I've got Tampa, Boston, and Houston just sneaking in. On the NL side,
can't believe you sneaking them in there. They're going to continue their. You just want them to continue their postseason losing streak, right? That's what that is.
It's not being willing to go out and be wrong on the Astros until they're officially dead. I called Tom Brady too old about 2 years before he won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. So I've learned not to kill the wicked witch until you see the feet hanging out from under the house. NL, Dodgers, Cubs, and Braves as the division champions, and then Diamondbacks, Phillies, and Brewers as the wild cards.
That's fair. I like those picks. I like those picks a lot. And then you have the Braves over the Rangers in 6 games in the World Series. I didn't pick my number of games. I'd say Rangers in 5. You know, why overthink it? 5 worked last time, so why not 5 again? Yeah, I feel like that's good. Maybe you hit another walk-off home run in game 1 of the World Series, but this time you do it in like the 10th inning. You don't make it so dramatic and wait till the 11th. You know, maybe they switch it around. Maybe Adolis hits a game-tying home run and then Corey Seager hits the walk-off.
I'm good with this becoming a tradition. I would be okay with that.
Or if Wyatt Langford or anybody else wants to get on the party, I'm not too particular about who does it. Just as long as we get to experience that again. It was so fun the first time. Why not relive it? Speaking of things we are reliving, our debutant draft. We're going to draft players who are making their debuts this year. We're going to go through what happened last year and how badly did Grant lose. Talk about all that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts, giving each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Now we are here with Grant Schiller for our fifth annual, fourth, third. Honestly, who knows how many annuals at this point? The history has been lost to the ages, but every year we had this idea of not a debutante, but a debutante draft of drafting players who would make their MLB debut. Last year, I won. The year before, Grant won. Actually, let's go through the results last year because it was a pretty resounding victory with my first pick. I picked Wyatt Langford, 3.9 baseball reference WAR. Picked Mark Church, 0 WAR, but he made his debut. I also had Infun Kelly and Emiliano Teodo. Big ol' 0 because neither of them made their debuts last year. With Grant's first pick, he had Jack Leiter, resounding. He made his debut. Negative 1.6 baseball reference WAR. He had Justin Foscue, who also made his big league debut, negative 0.7 WAR. Carson Coleman, the Rangers Rule 5 pick, who was hurt and did not pitch, I believe, at all last year, so that was a 0. And Jose Corniel, who probably a couple of weeks after we did that draft had Tommy John surgery and did not pitch at all, 0 WAR. So Bryce comes out on top, 3.9 to negative 2.3. It was a real nail biter there, but with that first pick, I felt like I won it, and I sure did.
You know, if we take the absolute values, it was a close race.
Oh, that is true. That is true. And hey, if we tie it over into this year, I think, well, I think I'd still probably win this year, but it would maybe be closer. Okay, so since I went first last year, I will let you go first this year. We do 4 picks. We do snake draft. Grant Schiller, who is your first pick in the 2025 Texas Rangers Locked On Rangers debutante draft?
So I want to point out, I feel like this back and forth of first pick is screwing me over in consecutive turns here. Last year, Wyatt Langford as the debutante of choice, the obvious selection who outproduced every other debut in 24. And the expectation that Walcott probably makes his debut not until 26 when you'll have first pick and probably laps the field again next year. However, to that point, as I look at I got a list of about 13 candidates who I could see debuting this year.
There's only 8 picks. I love your thoroughness.
But I think almost all of these are guys who are going to put up between negative 0.5 and positive 0.5 WAR if they come up. So I'm just gonna start with the long shot who I think has the highest chance of a 2+ WAR season, even if there's a 10% chance he debuts at all. And I'm gonna take Sebastian Walcott.
Oh, I knew you.
He looked great in Surprise. The guy's special. He's probably going to be in AA all year, maybe moonlight in AAA at the end. But I'm going to, on the off chance that he goes and just absolutely tears it to shreds and they can't keep him down, I'll grab him.
Oh, that's a good pick. That was what was going to be my first pick. I had a feeling you might swing for the fences like you did with Evan Carter a couple of years ago that won you the whole dang thing. I mean, you did that in a 3rd round pick. That was good pickings. For my first pick, I'm going to go a guy who I feel more confident is going to make his debut in 2025 than Sebastian Walcott, who Bam Bam does have a stated goal out loud very multiple times of, hey, I want to make my big league debut as a teenager. If he's going to do that, it's going to be in 2025, and Grant will have him on his debutant draft. But I'm going with Emiliano Teodo. I think he's going to be in the pen this year. I think he could be getting high leverage outs as quickly as July. I think he could be in the bigs as quickly as at some point in May. And if he's in the big leagues, he's got stuff to get big league hitters out right now. And if that's in a relief role, I'm not as concerned about his inability to, stay in the strike zone. I'm not really worried about his changeup at all, really. It's like, hey, just scrap it for a while. Maybe he goes back to starting at some point, but I think he's just going to be so good in relief that he could rack up a couple WAR as a reliever just this year. Maybe a WAR and a half, but I'm feeling good about that. And my next pick, I'm going with one of the stories of camp. I did not think that he was going to be an impact starter, but with what's happening with Evan Carter, with the questions about center field and right field in general, I think I'm going to have to go with Alejandro Ozuna. I think he's going to be up at some point this year. I think he's going to make an impact. I still am not quite sure if he's first division starter, but I'm more sold on it now than I was at the beginning of camp. So Alejandro Ozuna, you are my second pick in the debutant draft. I am half done. I feel very good about my picks. Grant, who is your next pick, or I guess next 2 picks?
I think those are definitely the second and third guys on the board. Teodo in a relief role is going to spend a good bit of time in the big leagues, and you feel pretty confident there. Ozuna, if I had to guess, doesn't impact the big leagues this year, but he made enough of a impact in spring training to turn heads and get the big league staff bought in on him. I'm going to go with a guy I mentioned earlier as a guy who I think impacts the bullpen late in the year, Winston Santos. Poor man's Teodo in terms of expectations for 25, but he has the stuff to be a dynamite reliever, and if this team's competitive, they're going to use him in that bullpen late in the year. And if that looks like start of August instead of start of September, that gives him a little bit of time to build some positive WAR. And I think that really ends the top tier of picks here. And now we're looking at guys who aren't going to produce a whole lot in all likelihood. So I'll grab the guy who's most likely to debut this year, just because he's on the 40-man roster. I'll go Luis Curvelo, and hope that his 6 innings and an up-down roll are enough to give me 0.1 WAR, and hope everything else. Hope none of your guys make it to the big leagues and I win 0.1 to 0.
I feel like maybe I negative myself. Maybe one of us negatives ourselves into losing this. Maybe you have the safe picks that don't end up making it. My next guy on this list, I think it's all pitchers from this point on. But I think Skylar Hales is going to be my next pick.
Yep.
He's a guy who could skyrocket through this system, and he's a reliever. I'm kind of surprised that he's starting this year back in Double-A. But he's a guy who touches 100. He's got an improving slider. He's adding a third pitch. It's a curveball. We'll see how that helps him. But the fastball's got really, really nice properties. He's got a good feel for it. It looks weird and it's fast. And he knows where to throw it. And so those are all very good things for a reliever. And those are guys who can jump through the system pretty quickly and make an impact. So I think that we're going to see that from Hales. I think we're going to see Hales in the big leagues this year. And I think he's going to surprise some people. Next guy on this list, I have a couple of different choices, a couple of different left-handers that I'm debating going between, but I think I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path and go Brian Magdaleno. I mean, he's a guy who I was a little surprised they didn't protect with the Rule 5 draft, putting him on the 40-man roster. He's a lefty who is a little erratic. He's got a nasty slider, and he throws in the upper 90s. He throws it with his left hand, and that's something that can get you into the big leagues rather quickly, however refined you are. So I think that Magdaleno is going to make an impact on this big league roster. And the other lefties in this pen, I think Hoby Milner could end up faltering quite a bit this year. He got hit real hard this spring. He does not throw in the upper 90s. Latz had some moments last year. I'm not all that sold. Walter Pennington, maybe it's fine, but I think Magdaleno is going to be a better option at some point this year, and I think we will see him, and I think I will be very happy with this pick. But it could blow up in my face.
I think those are the right picks. Magdaleno is risky because of the walks. He could definitely give you negative, but I also think you have good reasoning to believe that he will get a real chance in the big leagues this year. Was the other lefty you're considering Robbie Alstrom?
No.
Really? Okay. So I'm looking at rest of my list. I've got Alstrom, Dane Acker as other relievers, Kellen Strom as a potentially emergency outfield call-up with enough defense to buoy a war, Abimelec Ortiz in case he just turns it around and goes crazy in power again and forces his way up, which I don't expect. But I think I'll go with a fan favorite who hasn't made it, but is maybe in better position to make it this year than in prior years, because I probably should have researched this, but I believe he's a minor league free agent after the year if he's on the 40-man roster, which incentivizes the Rangers to give him the shot if he continues to hit well in AAA and there's not a big league and there's a big league injury. I'll take Blaine Krim.
Okay.
Which is tough because he has no defensive value. So if he comes up and he doesn't produce,
he's got a third baseman's mitt.
It's
there.
I mean, he's going to have to be 15-20% above league average with the bat to really generate anything positive. But I like the guy. I think this is the year that he debuts in one form or another because of that 40-man element. And I'll throw him at the back here.
I think that's a fair pull, and maybe he ends up making his debut for someone else. I know that there are some big league teams like the Marlins and I mean the White Sox. It's like what you could definitely use him. Heck, I think if the Pirates could use him, honestly, I feel like this guy could hit at the big league level at a capable level. But for full transparency, Cole Drake was the other lefty that I was looking at.
Okay.
If the Rangers threw him into a relief role, I don't know if they'll do that. I also thought maybe Mitch Bratt for an emergency call up for a start or two, because I mean he faced Team USA lineup as a teenager. He got one out. It was a sac fly, and he didn't give up a home run. Don't look at the other stats. That's all you need to know against a peak Team USA lineup as a literal child, a 19-year-old, which was kind of unfair and also kind of a cool moment for him. But to go over this draft, Grant has Sebastian Walcott, Winston Santos, Luis Carvello, and Blaine Krim. I have Emiliano Teodo, Alejandro Ozuna, Skylar Hales, and Brian Magdaleno. Not the strongest crop that we've ever had, but it's going to make this a thrilling chase to look at all year long. And I look forward to sitting here at the 6th annual, or however many annuals it actually is, and gloating about my glorious victory and winning streak. And hopefully with that first pick, I'll still get to pick Sebastian Walcott and dominate you again and make it a three-peat, just like maybe the Rangers will have in 2025, 26, and 27. Who knows? But I know I am so excited for baseball. I am so excited to have joined you on this journey, to you have joined me on this journey, Grant, and for all of us to join in on the 2025 Rangers. Baseball is finally back. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy opening day baseball.